I enjoyed the firearms training, but it was only 2 weeks. So now we start to get into some of the problems that I saw when I was actually out on the department. A lot of cops can't shoot. They really suck at firearms. Now, a lot of them think that they're gunslingers because they carry a gun to work every day. Well, I always tell them I carry a laptop to work every day. I don't think I'm Bill Gates. Like, I'm very realistic about my limitations, you know?
Oh, that's the best one. Nice one.
Yeah. So I saw a need for continuing training. They do a good job up front, psychologically preparing you physically. There's physical standards. The academy was fairly difficult physically. Obviously, it wasn't like a selection level process, but it was still physical enough that people went away for not being able to do things. But what I found strange to me is that once you're qualified, you have your badge and you're out on the streets, there's no more annual physical fitness test. That baffled me. And there's only a once a year requal with handgun. And it surprised me how many people can't pass this qual. It's from 25 yards, 6 rounds, and then everything moves up from there. Like, how do you, I'll give you 1 or 2 rounds, maybe you miss from 25. Why? I don't know. It's not that hard. A full size target from 25 is not hard to hit. But of those 6 rounds, I'll give you a couple. You threw a couple, whatever. But anything from the 15-yard inline, I mean, how do you not get a perfect score on this? It baffles
I don't
me.
think it's fair on the cops or the police to do that to an individual, because if you're going to get into a contact and you drop somebody, your arse is going to be on fire, and they're going to want to know how you missed or where you know your rounds went, where ricochets and all the rest. And it's not fair on an individual to have to make that decision where he's putting rounds down if he's not getting the training.
Yeah, it's just big disadvantage. You think of how many rounds we shot as young operators in the community. I mean, hundreds of thousands of rounds. Mm-hmm. So by the time you see the real world for the first time, you're over prepared. It's almost a disappointment. Like, is this the real thing? Like, it's not what I thought. Whereas a cop, it's the opposite. They get a minimal amount of training, and then in these tough cities, they throw them to the wolves out in the streets. And of course they're scared. Of course they're terrified, because you and I had years of training, hundreds of thousands of rounds before we went out the door for the first time. Mm-hmm. These poor gals and guys get a couple months, 2 weeks of handgun, and here you go. Now you're in South Phoenix, where everybody hates you.
Life or Death with Chris Ryan. Brought to you by 1129 Media.